1920, Ohio ice cream parlor owner Harry Burt invented ice cream on a stick, bought a fleet of refrigerated trucks, and began selling his treats all over the city. To this day, Burt's treats are still sold under the brand name Good Humor. 104 years ago was the dawning of the ice cream truck, and in that century plus, there have been so many beloved treats. You hear those bells as the truck is coming around the corner in the neighborhood. Back in the 80s or 90s, begging your parents for some change or a few loose dollar bills so you could go and get something to beat the heat besides running through the sprinkler. What we're going to do now is the top 5 ice cream truck treats. And boy, this is a hard list. They're in no particular order, and of course there'll be some honorable mentions. I will tell you, no lie, my list that I started to have to pare down was more than 30, and there was no way I was doing a top 30 list on this podcast, so I had to slice and dice. Even though it's pared down, this list is sure to inspire you to go to the local grocery store and maybe get a 6-pack box of one of these treats, or wait outside for the ice cream truck to go by. I don't know which will be faster. So honorable mentions for the best ice cream truck treats ever include the strawberry shortcake bars, chocolate eclair bars, and toasted almond bars. They're all basically the same thing, just with different coatings on them. Toasted almond bars were my favorite. These were all part of the aforementioned Good Humor bars. There was Italian ice, kind of a sweetened fruit puree that you had to dig out with either a wooden spoon or a little wooden-shaped peanut-type stick. Bubblegum swirl pops, which were popsicles with a bubblegum center with such awesome flavors as blue raspberry, which is my favorite. Hoodsy cups, which were basically the same as Italian ice, just ice cream. You had the same sort of tool to dig the chocolate or vanilla out. And snow cones, which were crushed ice, flavored with different syrups, super duper sweet at the bottom. I seriously could keep naming honorable mentions, but we'll be here forever. So now it's time for the actual top 5. Like I said, these are in no particular order. You can eat them all equally. Starting with number 1, Character Pops. These were the ones you'd walk up to the window on the ice cream truck and there'd be faces of different characters, usually with gumball eyes. When I was a kid, it was Mickey Mouse. There was Ninja Turtles. Today there's SpongeBob SquarePants. These were one of those, it's similar to food in a fast food restaurant, wherein the commercials are on the menu, the picture of the food looks amazing, and then you get it and it's a disappointment. That was the same with these Character Pops. The faces that were painted on the side of the truck were just amazing. They looked just like Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck. And then you open it up and it's a sad face. The eyes are crossed diagonal from each other and the face is already melted. But they all tasted good, so it mattered less if it looked like the character. The Popsicle brand company now makes character popsicles. I don't think they're ice cream, but they've got SpongeBob, Spider-Man, the Minions. So there's a different option for you. Number 2 is Choco Tacos. These were amazing. A taco-shaped waffle cone, dipped in chocolate, sprinkled with nuts, with vanilla ice cream. Oh, man. Today, these are made by the Klondike Company. I don't know if it's always been that way, but these were definitely one of the all-stars on that menu on the side of the ice cream truck. You didn't want fudgicles or regular popsicles or even ice cream sandwiches because you could get those in the supermarket. You wanted something unique. And to kids in the 80s, Choco Tacos were definitely unique. Oh, many were the summer days when the ice cream truck would go by and I'd get a Choco Taco. The chocolate would melt on my hands and it would be smeared all over my shirt. I do not envy my mother having to do laundry for 5 of us kids that all basically did the same thing. Just clothes covered in ice cream or grass stains and dirt. Choco Taco came out in 1984 through Good Humor. These are the benefits of research. Sadly, the Klondike version was discontinued in 2022, and it was known as the original ice cream taco, so not exactly the same catchy name as we remember in the 80s. Number 3 is Drumsticks. Another chocolate disaster for my clothes. The waffle cone filled with vanilla ice cream, topped with chocolate and nuts, a chocolate-lined cone, and a surprise chocolate nugget in the bottom. As I'm going through this top 5, it brings back naturally so many memories of being a kid in the 80s. But the funny thing is I could go to the store right now and get any of these, and it kind of takes the magic out of it. I could go get myself a drumstick 5 minutes from now, but it's not the same as waiting for those bells and running out and throwing a handful of change up on the little counter to get one straight from the little freezer in there. An interesting fact, and something that 80s kids might not like to hear, is that drumsticks couldn't and can't be considered ice cream because ice cream, real ice cream, has to contain at least 10% milk fat, and drumsticks don't. This isn't as traumatizing as finding out about Santa or the Easter Bunny not being real, but it's definitely a shock to my 80s system. That being said, you can still get them to this day. They're made by Nestle, so it's not like Choco Tacos that are just gone. Number 4 is Chips Galore, also known as the ice cream cookie sandwich. Oh man, basically 2 large chocolate chip cookies with vanilla ice cream in the middle and then extra chocolate chips around the edge of the ice cream. Today you can get these made by the Blue Bunny Company, and of course you can make them on your own using homemade chocolate chip cookies, ice cream, or whipped cream, or as my Nana would say, some nice Cool Whip. These were amazing because they would start off solid, hold the cookies and just start eating, and then as it started to melt, the cookies would get soggy, the ice cream would just run down your arm. Oh, it was the best. Because you just go run through the sprinkler to clean yourself after. So these were also better known as the Chipwich for us from the 80s. They came out in 1978. I go back to the fact of the great time that I grew up in the 1980s because so many of these classic ice cream truck treats were invented either in the late 70s or early 80s. So they all got rolled out for my generation. And finally, number 5 on the list of top 5 ice cream truck treats ever is the Bomb Pop. My all-time favorite, also known as Rocket Pops. Red, white, and blue popsicles. They looked more like a firecracker. They weren't one solid piece. I mean, they were, but they had these kind of ridges around the sides. You know, they still make them. These were invented in 1955, but weren't trademarked until 1971. They were originally made by Merit Foods, and when they closed down in 1991, Wells Dairy bought the company and Bomb Pop and all those, so that's who makes them to this day. I don't know if it was the different flavors all stacked on each other, the unique shape, feeling patriotic with the red, white, and blue, or just the feeling that you would get from eating the ice cream with your friends or your siblings on a hot summer afternoon. That's why I said this list was so hard to make, because I was lucky living in a rural neighborhood in Cape Cod. In the 1980s and 90s, you just hang out in the street and the ice cream truck would just roll by. And everything was typically affordable, 25 cents, 50 cents back then. Did I leave any of your favorites off of my list? What were your favorite ice cream truck treats? And do you still eat them to this day? If I was to go get ice cream right now, it'd be tough. It'd be a toss-up between the Bomb Pop and a toasted almond bar.